Well, I am very happy to see you all here this morning. A little bit overcast. Isn't that unusual in Texas? Not too hot outside, a little humid, but we can go with it. And a wonderful announcement from Myron this morning, delivered as only Myron can deliver. Oh, boy. This morning I'd like to talk to you about words. As Whitman wrote, lispings of the future. English is a strange and wonderful language. It is not all that unique in an exclusive sense, but it is unique in that it does several things with far more agility than other languages. For instance, other languages can use a word as a noun or a verb, but none can do it quite like English. English speakers can use Google to Google a question. We can go fishing for dinner. We can have fish for dinner. But if we wait too long, then things are going to get fishy. Our language is young. In fact, it is, I believe, the youngest of all European languages. In 1066, the Normans successfully invaded Britain, and they ruled there until, depending on who you talk to, the 14th century. The country the Normans conquered was a crazy quilt of languages. Many tribal languages lived there. The Romans established themselves there. It had been occupied by various Nordic adventurers. Notably, the major languages spoken when William trounced Harold at Hastings in 1066 were the Angles from northern Germany and the Saxons also from northern Germany, someplace close to what we call Denmark today. Old English, Anglo-Saxon. Saxon and Angles and French and Welsh and Scots and myriad other languages simmered under Norman rule for the next 2 centuries. Because society was stratified under the Normans, the languages were stratified as well. Latin was the language of the church and scholarship. French was spoken in the Norman court, and the peasants and serfs and slaves, well, they spoke one of those many tribal languages. However, after 200 years, the many languages coalesced into English, much as we know it today. But it had a unique characteristic. It was no longer the finely structured languages as the European languages are founded in Latin. It had become the people's language, spoken and seldom written, able to absorb words from all the people with impunity. Have you ever wondered why we raise chicken but eat fowl? Isn't it strange that we have cows in the barnyard and beef on the plate? That is because the serfs, they raised the cows and the chickens and the pigs and the chickens' eggs and spoke of them in what English would become, while the French, the Normans, ate beef and poulet and pork and souffle. English is a language born in the barnyards and the markets and the pubs. The people claimed French and Germanic and other words with reckless abandon, dropped the use of systematically declined verbs, and essentially used all the languages that they had at hand. So today, we have town, hill, and ham all saying the same thing, as in Castletown, Notting Hill, or Birmingham. Yet on the other hand, we can go to a town on a hill and have a ham sandwich. Marines are gung-ho. We apply Kanban to our factories, decorate our belts with conchos, send our kids to kindergarten, look for answers on a wiki, and seek advice of a lawyer. The words and many others are not Anglo or Saxon. They are appropriated from Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, German, Hawaiian, and French. They are, as I am sure you can attest, many others. The word gurus in Oxford recently added 35 new words to the 170,000 odd words in their lexicon, including bling, bromance, frankenfood, illiterati, infomania, mankini. I wasn't going to use that one, but I thought, what the... mini-me, muffin, muggle, OMG, screenager, I'm one, right here, sexting, text-speak, truthiness, which I have no idea what it means, twitterati, unfriend, and uncycle. We can twist the meaning of a word like the fiber of a rope. For instance, Dorothy Parker once said, "You can't teach an old dogma new tricks." In contrast, we can speak with words that inspire. I have a dream. We like to bathe in the gritty glow of misspeak, as in the philosophical words of Yogi Berra, who said famously, "It ain't over till it's over. You can observe a lot by watching." And my favorite, if people don't want to come out to the ballpark, nobody's going to stop. There are words that are not, as my high school principal was so fond of saying, appropriate. These are the words of our youth, like, like fidget, grody, tubular, soch, dweeb, cool, copacetic, hippie, daddy-o, swell, groovy, and the ageless, or perhaps well-aged, far out. These words, along with the accompanying phrases like, oh my God, hugs and kisses for sure, and my favorite, crypto-fascist airhead, make up the language of youth that mystifies parents and sends English teachers into paroxysms of disbelief. I'd rather not go into politispeak, but it is, after all, a lot like, team speak. Politically speaking, words are more about saying nothing while sounding impressive than actually making a point or answering a question. I guess politicians have learned a lot from infomercials. If you say it enough, people will accept it as fact. Public speculation is something that strangely gets confused with fact, especially among more talk than thought speakers. Take what you know, toss in a bit of spicy rationalization, plaster liberally with bias, and voila, you have what passes for reason. Politicians aren't the only speakers that pervert logic and subvert reason. Words can be as deceptive as instructive. Walk down any grocery aisle and you will see packages labeled as better. You might wonder, better than what? Our words can be bent to take on a whole new meaning. I am reminded of the man who dug a magnificent well. He lined it with stone and built a functional, beautiful roof over it. He was so proud of what he had done that he named it. And when his wife saw the name, she was a bit perplexed. "What kind of name is All Will Be?" she asked. And he said, "Dear, it's obviously our All Will Be Well." She said I like bad jokes, so puns are the lowest form of humor, and I think that's why I like them so much. We can use a word until it is rendered almost meaningless. Some years ago, I visited Yosemite Park, and as I drove under the canopy of great ponderosa pines into that magnificent valley from the east, I could see the 2-lane road widened to more than 4 lanes just beyond the trees. And I wondered why, but as I passed beyond the trees, I could see to my left the grandeur of El Capitan rising inexorably 3,000 feet above the valley floor. I almost stopped right there in the middle of the road. But since the The park rangers had anticipated mine, and I'm sure many other people's reactions. I used the lanes to my right and stopped, and I got out and viewed in awe that magnificent granite monolith. I was truly awestruck. I had seen great ships, great cities, the dark blue, the mid-Atlantic, endless panoramas, and many wonderful vistas, but nothing was like seeing that sheer rock face. It was, in a word, awesome. Now, this may be a bit peevish, but I have to say that no article of clothing, nor car, nor meal, nor job well done when compared to El Capitan is awesome. All will flounder and succumb to familiarity. The rangers in Yosemite are probably no longer in awe of El Capitan. The people who live in Niagara or Grand Teton are probably no longer in awe of those inspiring places. In time, they see these wonders in a whole new light, no less inspiring, but no longer awesome. I believe the half-life of awe is pretty short. I am sure that the teenager who called my mustache awesome at the Main Street Fair last spring was in awe for no more than a nanosecond or so. In fact, I doubt that awe was involved at all. Words can lose their luster, their value, or their impact as easily as package wrapping becomes trash on Christmas morning. Masters of language have the ability to use old words that are vital, seemingly new and vigorous. It is perhaps the ultimate recycle. Perhaps awesome needs a rest. I think that Americans may be a bit too economical in the words that they use. We sprinkle our speaking with clever acronyms and use them just as if they were words. As Robin Williams noted in Good Morning Vietnam, seeing as how the PP is such a VIP, shouldn't we keep the PC on the QT? Because if it leaks to the BC, he could become an MIA, and then we'd all be put on KP. Acronyms such as WYSIWYG and OCD and UT and LGBT and LOL, ACLU, UMT, SOB, HVAC, TCU, I'm not finished yet, SNAFU, CIA, SIU, USN, NBC, USMC, USA, CBS, and SPABSQSA. That last one is the Society for the Preservation and Advancement of Barbershop Quartet Singing in America. Oh, and of course, UU. Cell phones have generated a whole panoply of acronym words such as P911, which is parents in the room, or BYAM, which is between you and me, or BRBRB, which is bathroom, be right back. That begs the question, if you're going to the bathroom, what's to keep you from texting? After all, people text at 70 miles an hour. The Huffington Post listed 9 acronyms that we should stop using immediately. One of them was ROFL, which the Huffington Post noted is rolling on the floor laughing. And they went on to say, and I quote, according to them, aren't you really rolling on the floor, laughing while typing or texting? Color me incredulous. That's what they wrote. Really, they really wrote, color me. I hope color me is not coming back. Choose your words carefully, and I'm not talking about the casual linguistic misconduct. What I am talking about is what is inside you, and how it comes out in the words that you choose. To accuse, to judge, to idly defame may be more about the defamer than the defamee. Bette Midler, playing the part of a famous Hollywood agent on Broadway, said, "If you can't say something nice about a person, come sit next to me." When we speak, we reveal as much or perhaps more about ourselves than we do about the subject of our words. When a radio commentator refers to a woman who was fighting for access to contraception as a slut, he is saying more about himself than he is saying about the person he derides. When a TV preacher advocates political assassination or equates the disaster of a hurricane to the retribution of his God, he is not commenting on who our enemies are or why so many people have suffered because of a horrific natural event. His commentary is, in fact, about himself and the people who suckle his diatribes like holy milk. Choose your words carefully. Words can cut through your heart with such precision that your heart continues to beat. Words can bludgeon with such brutality that light is pounded out of a person's soul. We can look at words as absolute expressions of what we say, or we can look at them as pliable representations of thought and feeling. If a person sees the things, perhaps a dress or a bit of art, and they say, "I just love that," we all know that that love for that thing is an emotional response in the moment. It can just as easily be said that if we see a thing, maybe a dish of tripe, and say, "Oh my God, I just hate tripe," it's safe to say that we are not going to declare the UU equivalent of jihad against tripe. Oh, now that I think about it, that may be a possibility. But it certainly will not result in the loss of life. It seems that it is easy to slip past the point that invoking hate will save us from tripe, and when used in different circumstances, result in suffering. Hate is a word that has taken on a veneer of casual acceptance. It is uttered all too often. There are things that we should hate: cancer, injustice, bigotry, but there are things that do not deserve our hate at all. Sports teams or the weather, or people whose beliefs don't match our own perfect beliefs. Those who hate, especially those who drape themselves in a banner of self-righteous indignation, only scar themselves. To hold to a belief so tightly that you need to hate to defend it is to suffocate your soul. It is easy to slip into hatred. When differences become disrespect and disrespect becomes hate, a line is crossed that is not easy to take back. On the other hand, to open yourself to many thoughts and beliefs opens your heart to accept and relish other points of view. There are many ways to build a bridge between you and those people around you, but no matter how the bridge is built, the risk is that it can allow traffic to run both ways. There is no need for you to believe as I do, but you will be better for knowing what I believe, and I will be better for knowing your beliefs, and Baptist beliefs, and Muslim beliefs, and perhaps the words of the Buddha. Even if you tolerate, there is still an understanding that a barrier exists between what you believe and what you are willing to tolerate. Acceptance takes it a bit further. Know it, even though you reject it. How will I build that bridge? Do I expect to have many traffic lanes running from me to you and only a footpath in the other direction? All this comes down to a single powerful word, the opposite of hate. It is the perfection of acceptance, the doctrine of this church. In a word, love. as we rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 134,